before I even touch a game, I am going to do a little bit of reaction. In fact, I've been waiting for this, uh, trying to find a really good time to react to the Nintendo Switch 2 and hopefully input my own opinions in regards to this because I've heard so much about this console, so much about this console. And I can dub this console as the dystopian console because Nintendo went all out dystopian on this console. And yeah, let's just watch this trailer. And yeah. Okay, first of all, there's nothing really impressive on the design of the console. It's sleek, a little bit more sleek, but other than that, like, there's nothing more to it. I mean, if I'm gonna be honest with you, compared to the first Nintendo Switch, which I also had but for a short period of time, I prefer the original Switch than the Switch 2 because I felt like the Switch 2 is like, really? You could have thought of any good designs, but you just decided to go with the most dullest looking design ever. So that's a turn off for me. So usually, of course, yeah, I'm not going to be the type of person to buy Nintendo consoles unless I see there's a need to get a Nintendo console. But other than that, not really.
The Nintendo
Then,
Switch 2 system can adapt to suit your situation, however
okay,
you like to play. In TV mode, use the dock to play on a bigger screen. In
I can do that on my Switch, on the Switch, anyways.
tabletop mode, place your system however you like using the stand, and share a controller with a friend. In handheld mode, play anywhere you go. With these three
Okay,
play modes,
basic
you can
stuff.
enjoy playing whenever and wherever you want. All together, anytime, anywhere. Let's take a look at some features of Nintendo Switch 2 and how it's improved from the Nintendo Switch system.
Okay. Bigger screen, same thickness.
7.9 inches, Switch 2 has a bigger built-in screen. Here's how that compares to Nintendo Switch.
Okay, fair enough. Understandable. I see this more as a it's like a phone upgrade really. So like let's just say you have an almost 7-inch display of a mobile phone. First version it has a smaller screen it has a smaller screen, but then later the next version, which will probably appear like next year, I'm just saying this as an example, the screen will be a little bit larger. However, the proportions will still be similar.
The system's thickness remains the same.
Yeah. High definition
With
display.
approximately double the pixels compared to Switch, you can enjoy games in greater detail on the 1080p screen.
Do you know what's amazing? The Nintendo. Okay, if we can go back to the year, this was during the time of the 2000s. Nintendo didn't really care about HD. It was only the seventh generation consoles that are Xbox 360 and the PS3. They only cared about high definition, and of course Nintendo didn't really care about that time until the until the eighth generation console, which was of course during the PS4 and the Xbox One era. That's when they said, okay, yeah, we have a HD in the back of our bags. We're not really focusing on that now. And Nintendo launched the Wii U, and that was like, okay, guys, let's just go into HD and so on and so forth. I see this to be the very same thing. The very, very same thing. Smooth gameplay, up to 120 FPS. Okay, so that's...
The screen supports up to 120 frames per second, allowing for smoother gameplay in supported titles.
Okay, fair enough. Vivid LCD
The
HDR support.
LCD screen is more vivid and supports HDR, providing more contrast between light and dark areas of the images.
That is impressive. Without a doubt, I'm not gonna beat around the bush. That is absolutely impressive. 120 hertz, LCD, not quite impressed, but okay, fair enough. But but then later you're having HDR. That's impressive. I mean, but at the same time, you're also looking at that like this. Back in 2011, when the first version of the PS Vita came out, it came out with an OLED. Switch, the Nintendo Switch, recently came out with an OLED as well. So this is sort of like a way of saying, hey, look, there's no need to get. We're not really launching the OLED version yet of the Switch 2. However, we do have HDR incorporated with the Switch 2 as well, so that could be, one way of like, of compensation. But other than that, yeah, I can sort of see why. Joy-Con 2 attach magnetically.
The all-new Joy-Con 2 controllers connect magnetically. Strong magnets keep the controllers firmly attached to the system. Detach a controller easily by pressing the release button on the back.
Wait, where do you press it?
Controller easily by pressing the release button on the back.
The bigger SL and SR buttons.
The SL
okay, so these are the extra buttons.
And SR buttons are bigger for greater comfort and control when playing with a Joy-Con 2 held horizontally.
That's my concern as well, and I'm glad that Switch 2 has bigger SL and SR buttons as well, because with me, I have bigger hands, and holding a normal Switch controller and using the SL, SR buttons, for example, when I play Mario Kart with friends and so on, it can be a bit difficult using the SL, SR button, so it's nice to see an upgrade in regards to that. Larger control sticks.
The left and right sticks are now larger.
Okay, yeah, you can add that to mouse controls using Joy-Con 2.
Joy-Con 2 controller can be used as a mouse, opening up even more ways to play in compatible games. Both the left and right Joy-Con 2 support mouse controls, so you can also play certain games using two mice, like this.
Nice. Okay. Improved speakers, clearer audio.
By adjusting the audio balance between the ranges, sounds from the built-in speakers are clearer and more natural in handheld and tabletop modes.
Built-in mic for easy voice chatting.
It has a built-in microphone, so you can voice chat with friends anytime via game chat. It also
You can just get headsets and you're fine with that.
uses noise-canceling technology to filter sounds, so your voice will come through clearly.
Okay.
Even if you don't have a surround sound system, games can be enjoyed with more immersive, three-dimensional sound, as if it were coming from all around you.
Okay. Alright, so you're doing the same thing as what PlayStation 5 did when they when they did their promotional reveal trailer advertising the PlayStation 5, that was also included as well. So okay, nice. I mean, I can't hear both because of my headphones.
Place your Nintendo Switch 2 however you like with a large, sturdy stand. You can move it freely, like this.
2 USB-C ports.
In addition to the USB-C port found on the bottom of the system, there's one on top as well.
Why?
It's handy for connecting a USB-C camera
Okay.
or
And
charging in tabletop
it.
mode.
You can just use one slot. Okay.
Nintendo Switch 2 comes with 256 gigabytes of internal storage, 8 times that of Nintendo Switch, for storing your game downloads, save
Okay.
data, and more. Reading and
Okay.
writing data is also faster.
New dock. 4K support.
Use the Nintendo Switch 2 dock to connect to your TV and enable up to 4K resolution for compatible games.
It's 2025. That should not be part of the promotion. That should be expected.
HDR is also supported in TV mode.
4K. Nice.
The Nintendo Switch 2 dock has a built-in fan that keeps your system cool. This helps keep performance stable.
Okay. Interesting.
On Nintendo Switch 2, you can play Nintendo Switch 2 games, as well as compatible Nintendo Switch games. Physical and digital games are supported.
It's impressive. It's impressive in its own right, but I just don't feel convinced. I seriously do not feel convinced. There are some things that you shouldn't mention, but it should be there. But actually, no, it's good to mention. I take it back. You can mention it, obviously, but there's no need. Okay, now time for the controversies. I've been hearing everywhere in the website about the rumors of Nintendo Switch 2 from social media, especially on X, and on, of course, with YouTube. Everywhere, everyone is talking about how dystopian Nintendo is nowadays. Saying, "Oh, we only give you." You have to be connected to the internet, otherwise your Switch 2 won't work. You're taking the same route as Xbox did in 2013 when they launched their Xbox One. And I'm absolutely surprised that your fans are okay with it. There is no huge backlash whatsoever. I mean, there is, but it's not as what I expected it. If you look at the comparison between people like raging for Xbox One's, always online connectivity in comparison to Switch 2, people back in 2013 were complaining about, were complaining about Xbox a lot more than people were complaining about Nintendo Switch 2. And also, this also adds the fact that there are like pre-orders, huge pre-orders from what I've heard. I don't know what the precise number is, but huge amounts of orders on the Switch 2, and I'm thinking, fair enough, if you really want the Switch 2 that badly, cool, fair enough. I mean, if the games are convincing enough, cool. But other than that, like, I just don't see the point of you buying this yet. There's just no need. And also another thing, the main thing where I say this is a dystopian console, and that is the fact that this is Nintendo right now. They can brick your Switch. Now, I'm seeing two arguments on this. I can understand why, and one of the reasons to this is my younger brother. He told me about about the Nintendo Switch 2. He told me that the reason why they decided to take this route is because of the amount of emulators, people taking the games and porting it to PCs and so on, and finding a way to just emulate like the latest games. Like he gave me an example with Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Before it came out, like so many people played it. It was ported and so on, and this really made Nintendo like shut down like quite a lot of the emulators and so on, and go through and shutting it down and removing every means for you to play that game on PC. And to my argument in regards to that, fair enough. I understand it 100%. This is your game. I feel like, yeah, to Nintendo's perspective, this is piracy. And of course, you're taking a game where you have to pay to play, and you're finding a free way to play this game without any purchases or so on, not giving the credit towards the developers and so on and so forth. Fair enough, I can see why, but my my situation still stands, as I don't see that to be an excuse for you to go full dystopian on the Switch console itself. Uh, it just doesn't make any sense in my opinion. I felt like that could, like, you could find some sort of way to, to make it stricter to gain access to play Switch 2 to port Switch 2 games, and making emulators for it and so on. But other than that, like, there's no need, like, to say, oh, we're gonna have to break your Switch 2 and so on. Or and the funny thing is I've also heard rumors in regards to you're not really buying the games. The games are hella expensive. First of all, you're tossing it up to like £80. Fair enough. Okay, cool. Tariff is gone now. Trump is done with the tariffs now. Tariffs was temporary thing, and now that's done. Are you going to lower the game prices? No, I don't think you're going to lower the game prices. You're going to keep the game prices at £80. And the stupid, most retarded thing is that the others will follow. And that's exactly what Microsoft Xbox is doing. Xbox is now tossing up their game prices. No, sorry, they're tossing up their console prices, not game prices, they're console prices. And I'm thinking this: who is buying an Xbox? Even when GTA 6 is gonna come out in May of 2026, would it make any sense for would it make any sense for buying an Xbox One S and playing it on the and playing GTA 6 on there? No. Besides, the Xbox One S will only, you're gonna pay much more with the Xbox One S, and it just doesn't make much sense. So yeah, this is why I call Nintendo Switch 2 a dystopian console. So let's go with the second trailer.
Nintendo Switch 2. Joy-Con 2 controllers that attach in a snap, and a big, vivid, high-def screen. Play games using each Joy-Con 2 as a mouse. Chat with friends and family.
Nice. And a camera.
And see their faces while playing games.
Let me guess, you're taking the CCP route, you're taking the Chinese Communist Party route, and that is, oh, we're just gonna put the camera there. And this is just my opinion. You can argue with that, fair enough. But we're just gonna put the camera there. Same thing as what they are doing with TikTok, apparently, because America is just paranoid with Chinese stuff. And I'm not against it, I'm not for it, but from the looks of it, in fact, I don't even use TikTok. It's been like how many years since I've used TikTok, but other than that, I just don't want that. It's just full of retards. That's a different subject anyways. But yeah, I hope the camera will just be a camera. It will not be nothing more. Just a camera like what I'm using right now. But yeah.
All together, anytime, anywhere. On Nintendo Switch 2.
Okay. So far with the Nintendo situation, yeah, you guys need to fix up. You need to stop being dystopian, and you need to understand, yes, people can also be like this, but at the same time, you guys can also have your own flaws. I mean, fair enough, your fan base is a bit, obsessed with you lot, but it doesn't really give you an excuse for you to be absolute idiots, to be dystopian. So yeah, it just does not make no sense whatsoever. I hope you fail. I'm going to be very honest with you. I hope you fail. Why? Because Nintendo needs to learn their lesson on calming down. Fair enough, I'm with you 110% that you want to protect your games. You do not want no emulators. You do not want nothing to do with that. But at the same time, you have to also understand that emulators were there for a very long time. And yes, of course, you don't want Switch 2 emulators, PS4 emulators, so on. Surprisingly, Sony and Xbox, they're chill. But of course, with Nintendo's situation, is a lot more intense. But yeah, that's all I can say with Nintendo Switch 2. And that's my reactions for 2 trailers.